Hey, strong people, Kalle Beck here, bringing you another Strong Talk podcast, and we have an amazing guest. I was very humbling and honored to interview Zydrunas Savickas today. Big thanks to Julian Howard for setting this up, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. Zydrunas Savickas needs no introduction other than he is a 4 times World's Strongest Man, 8 times Arnold Classic winner, the only person to win the Arnold Classic 2 years in a row, and yeah, he did it from I think 2003 to 2008. It's incredible. He has a couple seminars coming up throughout the UK. February 4th, the Strongman Sanctuary in Kent, England. April the 2nd at Trojan Fitness in Bristol, England. June 17th at Centaur Fitness, Belfast, Ireland. And June 18th at the Forge Gym in Cork. I believe that's also in Ireland. So those are Big Z seminars coming up. If you're anywhere around there, I'd recommend to go to them. He's arguably the strongest man of all time. I believe, personally, the strongest man of all time. Most accomplished strongman, and how long he's been able to remain compete in a sport at that top level is amazing. We go over that. We talk about if the Z press is a real thing that he uses or even invented. How he started out, how strongman culture is in Lithuania, some of his experiences, at his first big competitions. Winning World's Strongest Man. We talk about the IFSA split, setting the log record. We talk about a lot of stuff. About 45 minutes of talking to a living legend, what he plans for 2017, how he dieted down, all of that. And I appreciate you listening. Of course, the show is brought to you by StartingStrongman.com. Go there for all of your needs. And also, Zydrunas Savickas is the dealer for SBD gear in Lithuania, and now Starting Strongman is also a supplier of SBD gear. Some of the best, or the best, elbow and knee sleeves, belts, lifting straps, knee wraps, etc. in the planet, worn by the strongest people in the world, such as Big Z, and you can now get it at store.startingstrongman.com. Super excited about that. Getting a lot of good feedback. A lot of the people are going into month 2, the early signups of our Starting Strongman training templates. If you want a program that is designed to help you excel at the sport of strongman, go to strongmanprogram.com, sign up, $10 a month, and you can get your first month for free if you use the code STRONGTALK. That's it. But of course, that's strongmanprogram.com. And it's only $10 a month until the end of January. So if you want to lock in the introductory rate, you have to do it within the next week or so, 2 weeks. Enough plugging myself. You came here to listen to Big Z, Zydrunas Savickas. So here is Zydrunas. Welcome to the Strong Talk podcast. This is Kalle Beck, and I'm very glad to be joined by who I consider the strongest man in the world, Zydrunas Savickas. How are you doing today, Big Z?
Hello, I am fine. Just came back to home after training.
Yeah, it's very late there, so I don't want to take too much of your time, but I know all of our listeners are very excited to, hear more about you and what you've been up to and a little bit more about your career. The first question I have is, what inspired you to start training and lifting weights in the first place when you were young?
When I was 13 years old, I came to gym and started to lifting weights, just to be a little bit stronger, to build a little bit more muscles. And same time, strongman sport came to Lithuania, and it was new sport, and I saw first strongman competition in my city, and I decided that one day I want also compete in strongman competition. it was my start.
Yeah, and I think from what I know, you started doing powerlifting first, and did you win like the Lithuanian? You said broke all the Lithuanian records when you're young. What, 17?
First, my competition was not powerlifting, but strongman.
Okay.
And it was when I was 16 years old. It was open category, not like junior or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I compete since I was 16 years old. Then, when I was 19 years, I started competing powerlifting also. And second, my competition when I was, I think it was 19 years. When I was 19 years, I broke all Lithuanian powerlifting records. But it was not so high record at that time. And then every competition I break new and new powerlifting records. And I compete for strongman and powerlifting competition, both sports same time, about 10, 12 years.
Yeah, and you went to IPF Worlds, and I think
Yes.
your best.
Yes, I always compete in IPF federation, and in Lithuania we have just one federation, APF. So it was just one way to compete in powerlifting. And I competed a few times in Europe Championship and World Championship. My best places I was 3 times in Europe Championship second, and in APF Worlds also was second place, and in squat was gold medal.
Yeah, right behind Brad Gillingham.
Yes, I lost just 2.5 kilograms. It was very close fight.
Doesn't get much closer than that. So,
yeah.
What was it like the first time you won Lithuania's Strongest Man, which you went on to win numerous times?
First time when I won, it was 1998. It was also same year when I first time came to World Strongest Man competition. Actually, it was. I know that I will compete in World Strongest Man just 1 month before, and was not really trained for this, because Lithuanian Strongest Man who won 1997 and which was qualified for World Strongest Man, he got injured, and I was guy who replaced him.
Mm-hmm.
So 1998 year was for me is good. I won in Lithuania all major strongman competition, and since that I always won Lithuanian Strongest Man contest when I was competed.
Yeah, and so what was there a lot of people doing strongman back then? In the late '90s when you got started, who did you look up to, and who taught you, who kind of mentored you and taught you what you know about the sport in the beginning?
Actually, when I started strongman sport in Lithuania, I don't know really a lot about strongman sport in world. And in Lithuania, it was new thing, and all athletes from a lot of different sports won't compete in Lithuanian Strongest Man competition. That was fights between powerlifters, weightlifters, just normal, strong people. And it was many men who compete in strongman sport that time. Level was not so high, and everybody want to try. But when I came and started competing higher level, then it was not big numbers athletes in Lithuania. It was like 10, 15, 20 athletes in Lithuania we had in competition.
Yeah, but I'm sure with all the success you've had, it's risen the sport has grown, in your home country, because everyone sees what they can aspire to achieve.
It was two peaks in Lithuania in strongman sport. One was when its first time came to Lithuania. We have just national competition, Lithuanian Strongest Man, and we have 15,000 people crowd. Because that time it was something new, and everybody go to look strong people competition. It was something unbelievable. Then numbers goes down, and when I start winning very serious competition, the sport starts growing again in Lithuania, and we also have now big crowd in strongman competition. Also, we have a lot of strongman show in TV. We have every Saturday strongman show in Lithuanian national TV. We have a lot of national competition. We broadcast international competition, and also we replay some of them. So we have full year of strongman sport in TV.
Yes, there's a lot of eyes and a lot of exposure, which is, that's going to help a lot. What was your first time at World? You competed at your national level in your country, then you go to World Strongest Man, and you are competing with the best from all around the world. What was your first experience at World Strongest Man like?
First experience was very strange because I got invitation just 1 month before, because I said before it was I replaced one guy who won 1997 Lithuanian Strongest Man, and he was qualified for World Strongest Man. And I don't have time to prepare for first my World Strongest Man competition. My plan was to compete in World Junior Powerlifting Championship and win it. But when I got the invitation, I have a decision with my coach that we need to try compete World Strongest Man. Sure, we can be very good in that because no time to train for this, but because my dream was to win World Strongest Man one day, we decided to go to the World Strongest Man competition and get good experience. And it was, I think, right decision. I won first event, but the second was not really successful. It was Atlas Stones, and I first time lift Atlas Stones in World Strongest Man competition, and I think second or third stone was not successful for me, and I dropped on my leg. I got injured, and in next two events I was not so good, and so I not qualified for final. It was a different format because we have 10 heats and 4 athletes in every heat. It was really, really hard to qualify because I had two not really good events for me. It's Hercules Hold and also Atlas Stones, which is now is good event for me, but that time I never lifted before Atlas Stone, and it was a very new thing for me.
Yeah, I remember that. Were you guys lifting in the sand that year that you slipped?
Yes, it was on the sand, and I slipped and dropped that stone on my stomach and my leg. Half of my body was blue when I go back home.
Yeah, that's quite a first impression, which, and then you just keep coming back to, now you've won it 4 times since. And so how do you come back? Because you also had the injury, I believe it was in the Faroe Islands, where you had problems with your knees. How did you come back from like serious injuries, and then you've had such a long career? I think what separates you from a lot of people is a lot of people have they'll be good for 5 or so years in strongman, but you've been competing for 20 plus years now at the highest level. So
yes, that I have a long career because that level when I start was not so high. Now it's really much harder to compete very long because weights are much heavier and it's not easy. But in that 1998 or 2000, it was world's strongest man with much lighter weights. Sure, that time for me it was heavy, but if we look what weights we use this year, it was really light competition. And very sad that I not was invited in 1999 because I trained all year for that, and I got an invitation again in 2000. And for 2000, I was really good shape, and I was sure that I will be in final. But my group was really strong. It was me, Mariusz Pudzianowski, and Phil Pfister. That time we was not world's strongest man, but later we each got world's strongest man titles. So it was really hard group, and I not qualified for final. And 2001 I got injured. I was good shape, and in Faroe Island, when I got injured, I was leading in competition. It was about 6 weeks before World's Strongest Man. It was last competition before 2001 World's Strongest Man, like last competition, last test before a very important competition, and I got injured, both patella rupture, and it was really sad day for me, and it cost me not just that 2-3 years to come back in full power, but also it cost in future a lot of things. Without this injury, I can be much stronger later.
yeah, the things kind of they tend to stick around once you needed to get operated on. But when you did come back, you started competing at the Arnold, and you're the king of the Arnold. Let's be, like I've seen you said that only no one but yourself has won it multiple years in a row, and only 2 other people have won it twice, but you've won it 8 times. What did you? And the Arnold's a very different contest compared to World's Strongest Man with the heavier weight. So, did you? How do you feel competing at the Arnold versus World's Strongest Man? Like the difference between the 2 contests. Do you feel one's a truer test of strength, or just different?
Yes, I that 2003, 2004, I much more liked Arnold Strongest Man because it was really competition who is strongest. And that time, World's Strongest Man was too light. I think these days we have very much closer World's Strongest Man and Arnold Classic, because in World's Strongest Man we use more events, but it's much heavier than it was like 10 years ago.
Yes.
So everything is fine and with World's Strongest Man events now. But 2003, 2004, it was too light competition for World's Strongest Man, and that days I more concentrated for Arnold Classic because it was better for me events, and I always was athlete who lift heavier, then lift more reps, or do longer distance for some events for endurance.
So, if I remember right, the first couple of years of the Arnold, they gave you the Hummer vehicle if you won. So, do you just have a garage full of those trucks?
I won a lot of tracks, not just in Arnold Classic, but I won also bikes, but I don't have any of them. I sold all hammers and all my jeeps what I won, and also all bikes. I just keep my money.
Yeah, I was just you for all the vehicles you won, you need to open a car dealership or something.
Yes, it was not easy to sell these hammers. It was some some job after competition also.
Yeah, yeah. This cash is always king. I say so. Whatever. You want to give me trophies or whatever, then but cash always works. But so
For athletes, especially, it's better to have cash and trophy than cars or ships or something like that.
sure. So you win, the Arnold from 2003 to 2008. Then you come back. There's you compete in IFSA for a bit, win some world championships there. Then you win your first World's Strongest Man title in 2009. Like you said earlier, you always had a dream to be World's Strongest Man. Was that contest was it fulfilling, even though you've won so many other world championships previously? Did it still have that same place in your mind that you thought it would have previously?
Because IFSA World Championship was finished in 2008. It was very sad because it was great competition with really good organization, with really good prize money, and with standard events. It was just once in strongman sport, but it was really good for world records because we used standard events. So it was really, really sport world records. Even we have, I lift 16 times log lift world records, but always with different log. One time with wood log, one time with metal log, one time with steel log, and also different diameters and different handles. So it is always is different. But in IFSA we had standard equipment. I really like that concept of strongman sport. But when it's finished, I almost was happy with all my achievements. I won many times Arnold Classic. I won IFSA World Championships. But they decided, okay, probably I need to win also one time World's Strongest Man competition. And it was big reason to compete in Malta in 2009 because it was Mariusz Pudzianowski, and it was fight not just between Mariusz and me, but it was fight between IFSA World Championship and World Strongman competition. Mm-hmm. And who was strongest? It was a really interesting atmosphere in competition because in 2009 World Championship, World Strongest Man competition, IFSA athletes absolutely dominated in all heats, and they won. I won competition, but all IFSA athletes was dominated against World Strongest Man athletes. Now it's just one competition and everybody is together. But this 2009 was really special World Strongest Man. It was like after 5 years, everybody was together and it was fight who is better.
Yeah, as a fan, that was like you're saying, it was a very exciting year because if people are unaware, before that there was the IFSA World Championships and World's Strongest Man, so the athletes were split who competed where, and they didn't cross over. So there was always the discussion on which has the better athletes, and like you said, all the people came from IFSA and they they did very well, and Marius stacked up his wins, most of them during that time when there was a split. And he was in a lot more of the magazines on ESPN. There was more coverage of World's Strongest Man, but yourself and Vasil Vereshchuk and Mikhail Koklayev, everyone was over in IFSA, and I think it would have been a very different placings throughout that time if everyone was competing together, as we saw in 2009, like you said, when the IFSA athletes came over and did so well. And you won. So what? How was it? Because I think as far as strongman, you and Mariusz Pudzianowski are about very different types of athletes. With different strengths. How was it competing with Mariusz?
It was good competition. Actually, he was really strong in 2009. Mm-hmm. Because he really professional athlete, and he really hard trained, and he believed that he can win 2009, but it was reality, and 2009 events was heavier than 2008 or 2007. And it was not really easy for him, but he was really a good fighter in that competition. I was surprised that he was that competition really good shape, because all World's Strongest Man, when he won previous years, he was not so strong like he was 2009.
Yeah, he got very big that year as well, I noticed. So I want to when you broke the log lift, the 500 pounds on the log barrier, that was something that was talked about for years on when you're going to do it, if it was possible. Had you hit it in the gym previously, that much weight?
I never lift in gym more than 220 kilograms. So I never lift in training this heavy log. And I type of athlete who can lift in competition much more than in training. And I can do always I can lift much more in competition than in training, and I will lift what I need to be winner or to lift record. When I lift last record in log lift in Brazil last year, not last year, 2 years ago already, my best result before competition in gym was 205 kilograms. And I lift in competition 228 kilograms. It's 23 kilograms more than in training.
Yeah, it's a huge jump. Yeah, that's that type of athlete's what I call, I'd say that's a winner. When you lift it when it counts, when you get points, when the record's official, not in the back room of a gym. So I think, how do you structure your actual training? I noticed that you use a lot of machines, which I think surprises a lot of people, but I completely understand why you do. But could you explain that to our listeners, why you do so?
Mm-hmm. Maybe I do in training. I use in training all machines what is in gym, because all of these machines is good for training. Actually, bar and strongman equipment is main thing in my training. Mm-hmm. About shoulder press, I use lot of pressing in Smith machine from chest and from behind the neck, and I use because I can lift heavier weight than like in military press, and I really good feeling in competition when I know that I can lift just sitting position and can press 250 kilograms. So it's really good way to build your strength. And I like use machines in training. Like 10 years ago, I never used Smith machine because I don't have in my gym Smith machine. But I use a lot of pressing, but not standing, but in sit position. I press bar like 200 for 5-6 reps, and I think this exercises is built my shoulders. I don't understand really why people use military press. It's good exercise for sure, but for strongman sport we more use dumbbells, Apollon axle, or log lift. So it's 3 different exercises, which is really good for overhead lift to get stronger shoulders. And if you use your side exercise, also military press, it's just same. We need to do something different in training, and pressing in Smith machine is really good for your shoulders.
And you also feel by doing more seated presses that you feel like it saves your back more when you're already doing so much back work and strong.
I can, if I do standing press, I will use maybe 90% of my shoulder power. But if I do sitting position, I can use 100 or 105% of my strength, because it will be just about shoulder press. It's not about your legs, not about your back, not about your abs. It will be everything about your shoulders. And I can go much more heavier, maybe not about kilograms more heavier, but you can use your muscles 120%. And it will be just about your shoulders and triceps strength.
Gotcha. Yeah. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. So on that, I have something, probably somewhat of a funny story, but I'm sure you've seen what people label as the Zydrunas press or the Z press, where they're sitting with their legs out, which I think I'm not sure, is this a real exercise that you're sitting with your legs out with your butt on the ground, and then you press out of the rack a shoulder press? Is this a real exercise that you invented, or is this just something that got mistranslated?
I saw this exercise many times, and I'm really honored that it's Z press. But I don't know who started this exercise. It's not my idea.
I think it's partially my fault.
Yeah. But it is. I try once this exercise in training because it's Z press and I need to try this. But I not really like that exercise. For me, it was not comfortable because I can't use 100% my shoulder. I still, when you sit in floor, you need stabilize your body, and you can't use 100% your shoulder strength. I think it's good exercise, but better to sit in normal position.
Yeah, I don't know where. I feel like it's more of like a exercise for the upper back and abs for learning to stabilize for overhead weight more than shoulders. But
yes.
It's funny because I remember years ago I heard from someone, and then they heard from someone that you described this exercise, but I think it was where one person says something and it changes a little bit, then a little more, and it's actually on my YouTube channel. It's my most viewed video, and I've been thinking lately. I'm like, I've never seen you do it. I don't think this is the right translation of wherever it originally came from, but it's kind of funny.
For me, it's fine to have the press exercise.
Okay, I'll keep, when I send it to my clients, I'll keep labeling it that way, as long as you're not offended by it.
Okay.
So a lot of people were very surprised when they saw how lean you got over the last bit when you've dieted down between the contests. Is this something that you regularly do in between competitions?
I regularly go down a little bit between competition because it's easier to live when you are lighter and you don't need to eat too much when you're not competing. But different that time was that I, between competition, train really hard because I need to rebuild my muscles. And I not just rebuild, I build much more muscles now than it was before. And I just eat clean food and train really hard for that time, like between competitions. And it was a result because I get much leaner. I feel much healthier. People not understand why I did this. I just did it because I need to rebuild my left side muscles. I had injury in 2015 Arnold Classic. In Super Yoke, I got injured at my neck and spine, and I not recognized this injury almost 1 year. But after 2016 Arnold Classic, my strength and muscle size and left size in 1 month just go really down. My log lift was around 110 kilograms. So I almost lost all my left side muscles, even abs, even lats, even biceps, triceps, chest, all muscles. And I few months training to rebuild these muscles. It's still little bit big. It's still little bit different between left and right side, but it's at this time it's getting every day better and better. So I am happy that, and I now believe that I will be back with both sides the same strength.
Yeah, and I'm happy to hear that as well. So what are your goals for 2017? I saw that it was announced from Ultimate Strongman just now that you're going to do a Masters competition for the first time, and also you're signed up for the Arnold Classic. So what are you looking to do in 2017?
Sure, my biggest goal, what I supposed to do last year, to try to win one more World Strongest Man, but
5 times.
I was really bad and I can't compete last year. And for this year, number 1 is World Strongest Man, and before this for sure is Arnold Classic, because I love this competition and I am champion and I need to define my title. I will compete few more competitions, not choose now, maybe Europe Strongest Man, maybe some smaller Arnold Classics around the world, and I will compete in Ultimate Masters, just to have some fun.
Yeah.
And maybe if will be back full power and lucky, I will win World's Strongest Man and Masters in year. It will be not so bad.
Yeah, that would be quite a year. I'm looking forward to you doing it. I know you have some seminars planned as well, and I'll put links to all of those dates. Coming up in February, you have one at the Strongman Sanctuary. In April at Trojan Fitness Bristol, and there's a little joint one when you get to do it with Bill Kazmaier and Magnus Ver Magnuson on February 19th, and in Ireland, I think, or 17th to 18th. So that looks like fun. So, but I'll include in the show notes and the intro for this all of those, so people, it's easier to find out and they can come learn more from you. You're also the supplier for SBD gear in Lithuania, and I'm happy to announce that Starting Strongman now is a retailer for SBD in America. So that's so we're almost teammates in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
But so how much more weight do you plan to put back on after you've dieted down? Are you going to get back up to about 180 kilos to compete?
My lowest body weight was 150 kilograms, and last year in Arnold Classic I was 182 kilograms. At this time my body weight is 165, so I got 15 kilograms back, but really good body weight, and I'm planning to put more like between 5-10 kilograms. So I will be a little bit lighter than previous years, but will be 10-15 kilograms more muscles.
Yeah, just
and hope also strength, because my training is going well in some exercise. I with lower body weight. In some events, I'm much stronger than last year with 180 kilograms body weight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it favors in certain events. I know it's really late there. I appreciate you taking the time. Just a couple more quick questions I just want to ask. Who do you believe, if we're going to take yourself out of it, is the strongest man to ever live?
It's really hard question, because
I know
all years is very different. If I say it's Bill Kazmaier, I will be right, because in 1980s he was really much stronger than everybody else. But we never know how he can lift these days. I know and I believe that he can lift really these days weights, but it's hard to say. These days we have Brian Shaw, who is really strong, like Eddie Hall, who is in deadlift really strong, but it's hardest question, and it's no just one answer.
No.
But if you want just this one person, I say it's Bill Kazmaier.
Well, there we go. Yeah, I feel like there's no one right answer to that question, and it's how you define it. But it's interesting to hear your thought process on it. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time. Like I said, there's a big time difference, and it's late in Lithuania. You just got done training. Got to get back to eating. If there's anything you'd like to add, we have a lot of people that listen to this that are just getting into the sport of strongman and really enjoy watching you compete, and look forward to you, getting that 5th title at World's Strongest Man this year, and all of your other competitions. Is there any one piece of advice you could give to someone that's getting into the sport of strongman?
I wish everybody to to try strongman sport. It's really nice sport, and everybody can lift heavy. Just need to believe that they can do this. And I will back in full power this year, and it is my biggest goal to show that with most serious injury, you always can get back.
Thank you, Zydrunas. It's been great. Everyone's really going to appreciate this, and good luck in your training. And we'll all be keeping tabs on what you're doing, and hopefully I'll see you at the Arnold Classic in March.
Yes, I hope to see you.